This video, I'm going to demonstrate how to utilize webhooks within n8n for tools that require a challenge to be sent and received in order to make the connection between n8n and the software. So for example, I'm using monday.com, and monday.com operates in this way when it comes to n8n. So unlike make.com, make will handle that for you. n8n does not. It gives you a little, is because you are having more control, it requires a little bit more configuration. So specifically with monday.com, it does require a challenge and the response to that challenge in order to make the connection. There are other tools that may require that as well. So this can work for any of those tools. This method will work for any challenge necessary webhook connections inside of n8n. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and add in a webhook node and configure it the way that it needs to be configured. Now, if you didn't know how I just did that, so I hit tab, keyboard shortcut, and I searched for webhook and I hit enter and it brought that in, or you can just click it, it's going to bring it in. So webhook, double click that to open it up. So you have to configure this thing in a very specific way. Again, n8n gives you more control, and so that requires a little bit more understanding and configuration to make things work. First things first, immediately change the HTTP method to post. Secondly, there are two versions of the URL, test URL, production URL. As you might imagine, testing is for testing purposes. Production is for production, when you actually enable the automation and set it to actually run automatically. Thirdly, we have the path. This is really cool. You can just, for organizational purposes, for labeling, you can change this to whatever you want. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to change it to YouTube demo. Now the actual URL becomes that. Authentication, don't touch that. Respond changes to using respond to webhook node. So this is very important. This is because, again, the purpose of this video is to show you guys how to set up the webhook so that you can connect it to this tool. So this means you need to change the response to respond to webhook, because this is for the setup process. So change it to that and you're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and copy the test URL for now, just so I don't have to open it up again later. Cool. Next thing we're going to do is we want to add a respond to webhook node, because this is what's going to actually get the challenge from the payload, the webhook trigger, and send it back so that it can actually make the connection and satisfy the challenge. But before that, we want to use an if node. Now, the reason for this is because we only want to essentially filter out that the challenge exists. If the challenge does not exist, we don't want to continue on with this. So I'm going to change it to is not empty. This means basically that it exists. So, but as you can see, we don't have any input data. So what we can do is one of two things: either hard code it. So I have it from a previous run. I'm going to paste this in manually, and that will work. Or otherwise, we want to use a test payload so that we can see the actual challenge object itself. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just for your sake, so you can see how it all works. So I'm going to open this back up. I'm going to get a test URL by clicking here to copy it. I'm going to navigate over to monday.com. Remember, it's going to be different for your tools. Whatever tool you're using is going to, dictate, how the interface looks like. I'm going to paste this into my connect webhook URL. I'm going to hit connect. It's not going to work because we haven't set this thing up yet, but we want to get this payload. I forgot to hit listen for test event. That's my bad. I'm going to do this again. All right, listen for test event. I'll do this again. It's going to fail. Bam. Awesome. It failed. That's exactly what we want. Now, for whatever reason, it's not. Oh, I got to add the respond to webhook node. My bad. Respond to webhook. You got to add this first, apparently. And I'm going to set this to JSON. And I'm going to set this thing up to be called challenge. This is very important. I should have mentioned it earlier. So this is going to be what we sent back to the initial webhook trigger. So double click this, set it to respond with JSON, and we're going to just quickly edit the payload that's already here to challenge. We want the key to be challenge. You can leave value as that for now. All right, leave that there. I'm going to go ahead and run a test event once again. All right, respond. There you go. Failed to communicate. That's perfectly fine. Now we have all the data that we need. Perfect. I'm going to pin this just for ease of use. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to the router, the if. Notice how it does work. This was there before also, but if you wanted to manually get it, you can do that. So in the input, it's in the body, challenge, drag and drop. right there. Bam. But again, this is probably the easier thing to do, so you don't have to do a test. You can just input this data right there, $JSON.body.challenge. That'll work perfectly. Cool. So now, essentially true meaning is going to essentially mean that it is not empty, meaning it exists. So if the challenge exists in the payload, we're going to go this route, and we're going to now set up the response to send that data back to the webhook. Double click that. Remember, respond with JSON, set the key to challenge and the value. We're going to change that. We execute previous notes to get our data. Now we're going to get the challenge. So I'm going to drag and drop challenge into here. And that did not do what I wanted to do. Don't did that. Challenge in between quotes. Perfect. So now it's going to get the challenge. Here, as you can see, this is a bunch of random terms. This is exactly that. It's a random key, a random value. Perfect. Now this is set up to run correctly. Granted, we have set this up with the test URL. We want to do this with the production URL because we actually want to use this, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and hit production URL, copy this one. All right, exit out of there. I'm going to delete all this, avoid confusion. Now, very important, you have to set this to active so that it actually works, and save. It's saved automatically by returning it on to active. Awesome. So this is working. I'm going to unpin this data because we want to use the actual live data. Unpin. Cool. This is all set up correctly as it's needed to be. Control S to save. Good to go. I'm going to go to the executions view to see what actually happens. Cool. I'm going to update the URL to be the non-test URL. In other words, the production URL. Notice how it says test right there. I'm going to paste. Boom. Test is gone. Awesome. Hit connect. This should work. Awesome. It worked. Now back to n8n, you can see that this ran, or it hasn't actually run quite yet. There it is. 10:13:05. That's my time right now. I'm going to hit that and show you exactly what happened. The webhook, it was triggered accordingly. Obviously, just the production URL was triggered. Now the if node ran to identify whether or not the challenge exists. And as you can see in the payload, it does. Therefore, it went the true route. And the response was the challenge object, and the actual value is pulling from the initial payload. So that is exactly how you set up webhooks inside of n8n that require a response to the webhook. This differs again from make.com, for example, that typically handles that entire response and connection for you very, very easily. n8n does not work that way. So this is an important thing you have to learn to understand how to connect tools to n8n that require a little bit more configuration. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. God bless you. Thank you for watching.